A very warm welcome to all our viewers to the show Achievers. Today we have in our midst a very special young lady, a young achiever who has been working tirelessly in the field of human rights, especially reproductive rights for women. And she has received numerous accolades for her work in human rights. And yet again, she has achieved another milestone in her incredible journey in life. And that is, she has been one of the first individuals from the coach community in the Garo Hills. In fact, one of the first individuals from Garo Hills to get into a prestigious Ivy League college, one of the best colleges in the US, the Columbia University. So help me, everyone, in welcoming our special guest today, Monalisa Barman. Monalisa, we're so happy to have you in our midst today. Very excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Dokache. I think I'm also very excited to be here again and getting interviewed by you again. So thank you.
Yes, I do recall when you received accolades last year, we had sat together, and I'm really pleased and proud to say that, you know, I am also able to share this part of your life again. So I hope today's session will not just be learning about your personal life, but we hope that this will be a motivational session for everyone who is watching this show today. So let's kick off with how you responded or reacted when you first received the news that you got into Columbia University.
Of course, like many other people, I was very thrilled because it means a lot to me. I wanted to be in this university. One of the reasons was somebody whom I have looked up to all these years, Baba Saheb Ambedkar. He has studied in Columbia University, so it was very important for me. So when I got the news, I was super excited. I was very happy because it was something I was aspiring to, and I did get through.
That's awesome and wonderful to hear. And for our viewers who are watching here this program, especially we want to reach out to the Garo community watching it, and so when she gives her answers, I will be taking time to translate some of the answers into Garo. So Monalisa Barman da ansing baksa dongeng pa yan skang pa ansing achkrangoni Garo Hillsoni Columbia University jian mengseng pa college saung a USO uchi bia manang cheng pa ha blong endal be pa chube pa porani nga aro yani bidungo ansing baksa agan grekna dalo ibaha aro bini agan ani kata ya koborko bini man chengon Columbia University chi bia napna ma ninga hon ba porai dapna ma ninga hon non bini bini idol ba bini ni gito pa mandi saksa jian ino poraya hachem uni apsan dake ira biap poraya hani geman bia bi saunin ya biap chi porai naska ni akan ha aro ya cholko manon wa belongen namen an seng bia hana. So Monalisa, what brought you to this stage of choosing this line of study? Did you always love choosing or studying policy making, because I believe that's what you're going in for?
Yes.
Or was there a point in life where you decided that I need to study this, I need to specialize in this?
Actually, as I have been in the human rights field and working as a researcher here, since past 3-4 years when I have been extensively working in the field, what I realized is this, with everything, whatever, especially with the indigenous community or the DBA community in that matter, there is a lot of, gaps with policies and other things. So I realized to reach and, help maximum of the people, especially from the indigenous and DBA community. It is very important for people like us to be in policy spaces because there is very less representation from our communities in the policy spaces. And that's the reason when I decided it's important for us to be there too. So I thought, why not, let me try applying for this universities and get into this field. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And Monalisa ni akan natani kita de yan niam thari gapa ba chingna minority community ba indigenous community ni akan ajian bang beja ya da India songo ba agal sako komi be gapa community rang yarang na niam daktil gapa o anching ni antang mandi tang dong pajani gemen wa Iako belongen poraina didiani ko naha ni waganinga aru unigemensa bian yan yam tarianio ba policy making o deng thang mancha ma si daperana aru pore daperana gata Columbia University ko basia. So is it safe for me to assume that perhaps civics or history was one of your favorite subjects growing up in school? Do you have like a favorite teacher that you can recall who inspired you to work this hard in life?
To be very frank, in school when I was studying, because the method is very conventional schooling, where at least when I was studying. So that time I didn't have much of an idea where I want to pursue. Things actually changed when I was studying my law, when we had to do this internships, where people were chasing to get into some firms, legal good firms to get an internship. I decided I'll intern in an NGO just to get an experience. I don't know what kicked me, but I thought, okay, let me work in an NGO. And that is the time when I worked in an organization. And I worked in an organization in Shillong, Impulse NGO Network, where I did an internship. That's the time I realized how much legal background is also needed in places like this. So that is when I thought of studying later part about the social work and how to get into this field, and I think slowly the whole journey started from there.
That's awesome to hear that it's not something that you grew up with thinking that for sure that I'm going to specialize in that area, but it's a moment in life that help you decide what you want to do.
Yes.
That's awesome to hear. So who, like you mentioned earlier that you have an idol who helped you study or pursue this line of work. Can you elaborate more on why that person is your idol and what are some of his works that have inspired you?
As I mentioned earlier, somebody whom I really idolize is B.R. Ambedkar, and I think everybody knows who is he, so I don't have to give much of an introduction about him. Of course, he idolizes me the way he fought for us, the minority community, and what he did for us. It still matters, and maybe the representation of where we are today is because of him. So, of course, all this work, what he has done, it's like, it's maybe nobody else realized that this should have been done for us. I think he's one of those very rare people who realize how important this was for us. From the DB community, we had to have representation. So yes, that's the reason I idolize him, and I think I'll forever idolize him.
That is a really good idol to have. The Monalisa ni agan atani gita de anjing ni komi bega ba minority community yarang o daktil geparang dongja aro ini uni ni gito pa mande Dr. B.R. Ambedkar ya ba Dalit community ba blongen chonka onka man gepa community oni rakke kham kha gepong ahani geman wa ba uni kham rangko ni chak soe ba uni kham rangko nam nek be ya getan anga ba rakke kham kha na nga ni wa ta ya policy making ko jar kanging ha. So Monalisa, when you talked about conventional methods of learning, like you said earlier, that the method of learning was conventional, that there was nothing, so to say, that gave you an opportunity to learn as you were growing and say that yes, I'm going to specifically choose that line of study. So would you say that while you were choosing this field of work, interning for an NGO after doing your law, I assume that hasn't been an easy decision for you. Have you received any kind of harsh backlash from people around you, maybe less support, or what is it that you are able to identify with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and that has helped you move on into this part of your life till date?
Backlash, as I was studying law and then not going with the conventional way of like directly getting practicing or trying to get into a corporate legal practice. But instead of me choosing to social work, there were many people whom I know from my family or maybe whom my father knew. They were not very much supportive. They thought what would even she do studying something like, because still social work studies or anything related to social sciences are still not very conventional method of studies or choices. So of course there was questioning, but thankfully I have parents and a very supportive family who never questioned on my choices, and they supported me because I think they believed that I do have a perspective and a vision. That's the reason maybe that support today I'm sitting here and giving this interview, I believe.
That is really something great to have, a supportive family, a supportive structure behind you, and I don't suppose many people have that because we are so used to the conventional methods of living, conventional choosing of say mainstream lines of work. So you said that you have applied for Columbia University. In fact, for most of us in our community, it's something fairly new. Could you walk us through what you went through when you were applying for the college, or what are some of the processes that maybe some of our viewers are not aware of while applying for or studies abroad?
Yeah, sure. The processes is very lengthy actually. After I figured out that I want to study policy and I want to be in the public administration domain, I figured out the colleges and universities which are with the good faculty and the syllabus especially, which I think that this is what exactly I want to study. These are the subjects in this, because of course every school, policy schools have different syllabus and also different way of teaching. So when I saw certain things, then I thought, okay, these are the few universities where I want to apply, and Columbia was one of my first priority where I applied. So the process is quite lengthy. There are a lot of SOPs which I had to prepare for, and there are also exams like IELTS and GRE which you have to prepare and give it before you apply for a foreign university. And after that, after writing lot of SOPs and lot of other questionnaires are there which are very lengthy essay answers which I have to give them and tell them why this is very important for me to study. And after giving all of it, there is also a processing fee. So this forms doesn't come for free, so mostly it is around 10 and 15,000 at times. So this is also a very heavy amount to be paid, because there is no concession in all this and you have to pay for it. Yeah.
Right. So from what I can make out, apart from the lengthy process, there are a lot of costs involved in applying. That is just for applying. So I wanted to ask you, are you getting any financial support from the university perhaps, or from anywhere else, and how are you going about funding your education, or is it something that comes easily when you apply for studies anywhere?
Western universities actually do help with funding your education, but unfortunately since last year when the pandemic has struck the economy and how things have turned up, so they have not been able to fund this time as much as they used to earlier. So that's one of the reason, unfortunately, I didn't get any funding from the university. And on top of that, there are scholarships from like state government, but our state government doesn't have policies for overseas studies. But also there are central level scholarships available. But one of the problems with the scholarships availability and everything, as there are not much out there regarding the scholarships, so sometimes it gets very difficult for even a person like me to know, oh, there was something like this which I could have applied for. So there are there can be the scholarships can be more expanded in various ways, I believe still. And other than that, there are loans, of course. Loans, I would say, for a DBA community people to take up a loan, it's also a very big decision, because there is always a collateral with it. And in many cases, many people don't even have a land or a value asset to show. So it is difficult. Finances are very difficult when you get into a university opportunity like this. But I believe education that way has still not become very inclusive, and also nobody should not study or take up further education just because of financial constraints, because if you're meritorious enough and you get into places like this, it's very important, voices like ours should be heard. So yeah, funding has been an issue, and I'm still trying to deal with it. In fact, through an organization called Milap, I have started a fundraiser, people who believe that how important it is a representation from communities like us to go ahead and study, and to come back also to give to the community. So I have started this fundraiser, and people's responses has been gratefully, I'm really grateful, people who have been supportive with that and have been positive still. So yes, I'm working with that fundraiser, and also I'm still trying with few loans, of course, but unfortunately it's a lockdown here. So lot of documentation works need to be done, as also we are from a Schedule 6 area, unlike any other metropolitan cities or something, which is very easy. So I'm still trying to work out things, like let's see how things develop in coming future.
That's wonderful to hear, very encouraging, and I'm really sorry that all this has transpired during the COVID times. I'm sure the processes have just changed drastically, or it's made it harder for you. But for those of you watching, ni soing pa anjing ni chadamberang je mangan apalchi porai na ya chol khora na skenchem da Monalisa ni skiata ni kita babini dakangani ko ma siangani kita wa gani nga Iako process ko apply kana altua ni kamde ongja maina application form mamang ko kapate submit ka ani ongja diba ya application ko college mat nagata banga porikkarang ko sena nanga je kai IELTS pa GRE da unia kana tani kita je nak ni kusuk makna ni ko test ka gen una agreban je filon ba je subject ko foreigners kinga wani gemen ko sandiani ko ba longen dakna nanga ni kana ba research ka na nanga ba dia college nak ni namnek pat ka pa subject ko na nambate sok bate foreigner man gen warang ko sandina nanga ni wa kanata yana agreba kam kaswani na agreba tangka paisa ni bidungo bang bataan chol rangko maknani nga da Monalisa ni akan atani kita ba wa ndak ple dak chakani ko manja andi ba anching ni state government ni kita ba yarang na dengtang mancha scholarship ba dak chakani tangka paisa chi dak chakani ina dengtang mancha apalchi porai gapana de dongjani gemen wa dengtang organization rangchi dak chakani ko aminga aro mongsong bate gisa organization wa wani geta Monalisa da o crowdfunding ba jenmani dakchak remani ko wa aminga ni akanata yani bidunga ansing ma siang kuna man gen but before that let's get back to the next question. Monalisa, getting into a foreign university, they will not accept you based on simply getting a degree, right? So I wanted to ask you, apart from the degrees that you have collected so far, you have received awards for your work. Could you expand and elaborate more and enlighten us on the various works that you have done in this field of human rights? So if any one of the viewers are looking to follow her footsteps, then you could possibly learn a thing or two from Monalisa.
Thank you, Dukachi, again. That's a lot. So I have been doing a lot of human rights work as a researcher. As I mentioned earlier, and also you have mentioned in my introduction, that I have been doing a lot of work on reproductive rights for women, especially the DBA community, again, working for them. Right now also I'm working on an abortion taboo related work for the tea plantation people, and hopefully my research will be published very soon. Along with it, I have been taking, because I realized these are the work which I have been doing with certain organization with whom I'm connected, but I had to reach and help people more. So that's where I realized I started doing since last year. Of course, when the pandemic was a little relaxed and things were better, maintaining everything. So I started taking a lot of training, human rights training programs for the Adivasi women here. The tribal population here, where I spoke about women rights and also with the youth, so that I can reach more of them, and if they are stuck somewhere legally or they don't know what is their right, so they can know. And it was a positive and very overwhelming experience too, because they actually, after all the sessions I used to take, they used to actually call me and they used to tell me thank you, because we were so lost. There are young girls who are calling me and telling me thank you, Didi, because it's it will help us, because we didn't know these are the things for us available, even because they feel lost. So these are the kind of work I have been doing voluntarily
with the women for their abortion rights.
Abortion rights, that is with an organization, but this is specifically with any kind of women rights issues, legal rights issues, or even with the youth, like what kind of the scholarships or what kind of educational facilities they can get regarding that.
Okay, thank you so much. Monalisa ni akan atani kita wa dengtang mancha uni porayani chi mangmang lekha bichto wa degree ko khale kamangmange ya chue poraya ona sokanga de ongja ndiba uni kam kha ani aselsa wa dengtang payment gri ba tangka paisa on gija voluntary work andinari antang yange wa ba akam rangko khainga dengtang mancha mi ichkrang mung wa kham khainga da ogata cha bagan rango kham kha gaba mi ichkrang mung ba achi ani bidungo aro wa saksa lo ko porai gapa niam ko porai gapa mande ongi dengtang niam rang mai chol rang donga Iako mande rang na endenari skiani ko dakke oninga uni voluntary work yarang chisa wa blongen antang na bimung ko chuatinga aro blongen dakchakani ko antang na bara bainga da wan cheng uni crowdfunding ni gemen ba uni financial help but dengtang mancha porai dao ya tangka paisa dakchakani uni porai ni na Iako ancheng namim asidapangna. So would you like to elaborate more on your crowdfunding, and if there's an appeal that you would like to make to the public, you're more than welcome right now.
I think like an appeal, if I would like to say, education is not very inclusive yet. People from the DBA community, Dalit Bahujan Adivasi community, we still struggle a lot when it comes to getting an quality education, or I think nobody should be stopped to have a good quality inclusive education, which is very difficult. Still we are struggling with it, and about this, because of all these reasons, though I have gotten opportunity, and for people like us, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important to be in this public policy spaces as a representation, because otherwise policy making for our communities, from people, if we don't have people from our own community as a representation, they won't know the hardships or what we are actually going through. It's very important to voice out. So that's one of the reasons I thought I wanted to study public policy, and that's because I want to give back to the community. That is have been always my ambition, because that larger vision that I really want to come back and work for the community here. And that's one of the reason, looking at the whole situation, as I mentioned earlier, with the loans and the processing, which is getting very difficult due to the pandemic right now, I started this crowdfunding, where people who believes that if I can contribute to the community, what I have been doing for the community already, and further in future, if they believe that I should study a subject like this and come back and help my community to grow. So I would definitely request them, even if you cannot contribute, do try to amplify the whole crowdfunding. Maybe somebody who can, they will contribute, and no amount is small or big. Any amount which is given with love is, I'm really grateful already about it. So that's the thing I would like to say.
And I'm sure a lot of people would like to contribute towards that. One last question before we wrap this up. You come from a minority group, like you have claimed, right? Like all of us are, in fact, in Garo Hills, or a minority group in the whole of India. Don't you think we have reservations that we can make use of, or how does it differ when you come, when you go about applying for colleges abroad?
So you don't have any subsidies when you apply for a university abroad. You get it there out of merit. That's all I would like to say.
Right. So it's not that you are getting in based on reservation, right?
Yes.
Just to make it clear.
Yeah, it is totally merit. And as I said, it's not about me. Any student who worked hard to get into university spaces like this, as I said, there is very less representation of people like us and from our communities. So it is very important. We should not be held back to study just because of financial constraints. I think because a community like ours will grow because we can give back only if we get an inclusive education.
True. I do believe in that, that education will change everything, and that is the one thing that will take us to a land of development. Monalisa ni agana ni kita dao anchingni ya porayani system ba agal sako dengtang mancha porayani system do ningpa yan jenmana thari gaman ja je gata jenmana thari gapa inclusive education ni agana ba bang a dao gata anchang minority community rangi reservation dongja aro je chubate dao Monalisa gata porayang nas keparang chol khora nas kenchimung oba wa mangna tangka paisa ni bidungo dakchakani khomia wani gaman sa Monalisa dao crowdfunding ba jenmani ungalani chi poraina ya chol khora na wa molatinga wa porae antangna san chuangani ongja andiba jatna bia ya jekon poraya ikora abaple mande thangong ya niam anchingna tharing gapa Niamko anchingni mande anchingna thari paniko wa dakchakaniko rabana mangen unigeman je mangan uko dakchaknaska crowdfunding ba je thangkako ba je kita nak niska je kita nak ni biau natna mangen ukosan Monalisa da al molenga. So Monalisa, I really wish you the best of luck. It's really something that is wonderful, something that is unimaginable for us living from such a community, a small community that we are, and having few people like you who dare to dream big, who dare to go out and leave such big footprints for us to follow. I wish you nothing but the best for your future, Monalisa.
Thank you so much, Dogachi. I just like to add, I think this is what exactly I don't want. I think I want every indigenous girl, boy to dream to be in spaces like this. They should not constrain themselves just thinking how will they finance. I want everybody to go, let it be anybody. So yeah, thank you so much. I think I'm thankful for Doordarshan giving me this opportunity so that I can reach out to more youth for education. Yeah.
And I'm sure most of our viewers, a lot of our viewers are inspired by your works today. No one should be held behind from pursuing education just because of constraints like finance or any other issues. The world is out there to help you, so don't be afraid to seek the help. Thank you so much once again, Monalisa.
Thank you.
All the best. Thank you to all our viewers who have tuned in today, and I'll see you next time.